I always had good grades in high school, was home on time, cleaned the house, etc. I never had problems with my parents before this. I went to med school, still living with parents when I was 20. I dated someone who was 23. Dad was against this because he does not believe in dating people far older than you, so like don't date far from your own age. And says I cannot date Jay. Argument breaks out. Dad says it's his house, so either I agree or I move out. I say it's not fair as Jay has a job, goes to college, has future plans, etc. Dad kicks me out. Mom agrees with his decision. Little bro was only 14 at the time. I moved with Jay. His family was supportive, helped me with my college. I went to another college due to financial reasons. Finished my required years but still kept in touch with my lil bro years later. Me and Jay, with the help of his parents, got a small house. Like really small, but I'm happy with it. I ended up giving birth to a sweet baby girl. I let my lil bro know that he could come see her when he was able to. He came a few times. Today, bro came to see the baby and asked when I was going to let mom and dad see her since they wanted to reconnect. I said never and that I wasn't going to forgive them. Bro says I'm being unreasonable as they were just strict and trying to protect me. I say that's bullshit because dad shouldn't have kicked me out over age. Bro says I should at least let mom come because she didn't want to agree with it. I say mom was able to do something but didn't, but that bro's situation was different because he was only 15. Bro is upset because he says mom and dad regret their decision and just want to reconnect and that I am dragging this entire situation. I told him that if he thinks I'm dragging it out, then he can stay out of my life too. He's angry and says that I need to move on and that I shouldn't be withholding them from seeing their grandchild. I say that they disowned me and so have no grandchild from a daughter that doesn't exist. I don't hate my bro, and I kinda get what he is saying, but I just have a resentment for my parents. It's not like I had a baby just to put it against them, but my lil bro thinks I'm going to go die on a hill with them for something done several years ago, and it's petty. I want a relationship with my bro, just not my mom and dad. I used to work on a small team for a division of a multinational company. We used to primarily be staffed by what were called old-timers. Basically people who were close to being of a pensionable age who didn't want the hustle. That culture shifted and a lot of young blood has been brought in. I formerly worked there and was given a lateral move out. A colleague, Tina, still works there. Recently an opening for director came up and Tina came to me for help. She's been doing overtime and working hard to get noticed for this position. She's well qualified for it and has extensive experience at the company, so she was given a chance to interview for it. Tina is a single mother who has overcome poverty in childhood, racists / bigots in the industry, and worked hard to support her kids. She's had health issues but always fought hard. Tina is tenacious and hardworking, but there are issues. She struggles in some areas, and while she'd definitely make a great director as she's contentious, kind and courteous, the role is evolving and may be a bit of a stretch. Nonetheless, I helped her with her application and presentation. Beyond being colleagues, she and I are friends. We spend a lot of time outside of work together. We're the only women of color in our respective areas, and share a lot of our deep feelings and thoughts. She worked hard and put together a good presentation. I was really proud of her. She presented this morning at 9:30 and got through it and was out by 10 o'clock. Most of the other applicants were internal and interviewed yesterday, but one person was recommended by a senior VP in a different department. The guy who was recommended is a 30-year-old hotshot. I think he may actually be in his late 20s. He will soon graduate from an Ivy League MBA and is the definition of corporate style. They gave him a last-minute presentation slot immediately following Tina. I attended all of the presentations. I am not on the hiring committee, but was there to support Tina and see how the presentations went. When the hotshot gave his presentation, it wasn't even close. The 20 of us sat in the room and were dumbfounded. Not only was his presentation visually appealing, but he noticed details none of us ever did, and he developed a pitch that was so innovative that our AVP asked to use a tagline he created. His technical analysis was so spot on that it was spooky. He understood issues facing our business unit without having to be told and had ready solutions to solve the problems. questions they asked him were more about how he'll do things when he takes over the role. It was made very clear to him that this was his job, and they even provided an unofficial tentative start date. It is very clear that he understands the industry, and his past experiences, such as professional work experience as well as winning top case competitions and academic awards, prepared him very well. The presentations were in totally different leagues. After he finished, he made a self-deprecating joke and took questions. He thanked us and left. We all sat there for a minute chatting when the AVP very loudly told the HR director to offer significantly above the salary and hammer out a start date immediately and get a contract signed. The VP who recommended him knew him from the MBA program, as the VP is a case coach there. He said he'd be his reference, and they are skipping all the formalities and going right to the offer. Tina has no idea. She was so happy with her performance, and she's sure she nailed it. She did well, about as well as the other candidates, but this guy is out and out in a different league. Just based on that, I too would hire the other guy. She's sitting on cloud 9 at her desk and planning a celebratory dinner to celebrate her performance. She was told decisions would be made in a couple of weeks. At this rate, it's likely she'll be informed that she didn't get the job well before 5 p.m. I really don't know what to do or say. If she asks, should I be honest about this guy's presentation? Should I avoid her the rest of the day? I want to support her, but have no idea how to even begin talking to her. I've always cleaned as I cook so that when it gets to the end of the meal, there's minimal mess. My husband is the opposite. When he cooks, it's like a bomb went off. I've encouraged him to clean as he cooks. And if we're doing a big meal / holiday meal together, I often make sure to assign him that role. Like most people, one of us cooks, the other one cleans up. I am the better cook, so I cook like 80% of the time. He gets an easy cleanup. I'm busier than usual at work, so he's had to step up. Whenever he's done, the kitchen is a mess. I don't even get how it happens. There will be oil splatters untouched, stuff drying to dishes, peels and meat. I'm not about to let food sit out overnight, so after I'm done eating I'll start the process and won't get to really relax much. Last week I asked if he could please try cleaning as he cooks. He told me the rule is one person cooks, the other person cleans. I said, I get that, but you're leaving me with a huge mess every night. He said, I just don't have the time to clean up when I'm focused on cooking, knowing full well I'll see him scrolling on his phone. I just got so fed up, so on Sunday I made a big pot of chili. I didn't clean up as I worked. When I was done, I served him, sat down, enjoyed a beer and dinner. When he finally went into the kitchen, he said, "What the? Why is there such a mess?" I said that I was too busy paying attention to the chili to clean up. I started to get ready for bed. He was like, "You're just going to leave this here?" And I said yes. He said he would have to wake up extra early to clean up and that he had to be at work earlier than usual, and was supposed to play a game with his friends later that night, so could I just clean up? I said no, I cooked, so he has to clean. 2 days later he's still pissy with me because he ended up not being able to game and told me that he didn't get enough sleep, and was exhausted at work. Not to be too snarky, but it's not like he's a surgeon, because I had to prove a point to him. I told him that nothing else seemed to get his attention, and I feel pretty justified. He told me I was being a smug asshole about it and it was childish. We don't have a dishwasher, there's no room for one, so everything has to be done by hand. Additionally, doing the dishes means cleaning up the counters and stovetop and sweeping the floor, taking out the trash if need be. When I make chili, it's a process starting // dried chilies that I toast, soak, seed, pulverize, etc. Then there's cooking the dried beans, then there's the onions and garlic and the peels, any other veggies, seeding tomato, cans of tomato, grinding the spices, etc. Then there's grating cheese for the top, etc. It definitely left a ton of dishes and other stuff behind. So another thing that comes up is whoever cooks also cleans, but since I cook most of the time, I just don't see that as being also fair to me. I'll end up spending almost every single day after work, I've been ending work at 6 or 7 some days lately, cooking and cleaning. If I had him cook more, I would definitely start to gain weight, and then we'd have another issue altogether. My girlfriend, Rose, and I have been together for 4 years, and she is 5 months pregnant with our first child. My mom seemed to really like Rose, or at the very least tolerated her, but after we announced that we were expecting, something definitely switched in her. She has become extremely rude and disrespectful towards my girlfriend. She makes passive-aggressive comments at every chance she gets. I've had to take a step back from my mother until she fixes her behavior. Rose had gone to visit her family who lives far out of town. It was a very last-minute trip, and she drove herself to the destination and back. Unfortunately, at around 6 p.m., her car broke down and she was forced to pull over. Fortunately, my brother, Chris, who's great with cars and lives about an hour and 1/2 from where Rose was stranded, was willing to pick her up and sorted everything out. I was out of the country, so I'm grateful that my brother sorted everything out for her. Chris moved back in with my mom about a year ago. Obviously, the situation wasn't the best, especially considering the tension between Rose and my mom that exists for no particular reason. But I hoped my mom could put her pettiness aside for at least a night. It was too late for Chris to drive Rose back home, so my brother told her that he would drive her back tomorrow morning. An arrangement that my mom seems to not like, but one that she managed to keep her mouth shut about, my girlfriend tells me. Rose helps prepare dinner, wash up, and actually engage in a decent conversation with my mom for the first time in ages. However, they mostly avoid each other. Chris goes to bed earlier, leaving my mom and Rose. My mom lives in a 2-bedroom apartment, and since both bedrooms were taken, Rose assumed that she would be sleeping on the couch. She apparently assumed wrong. My mom gives Rose the thinnest blanket ever and basically screams at her, telling her that she has to sleep on the floor to not ruin her couch. She tells Rose to make do with the pillows on the couch and the blanket that provides zero warmth. Rose thought about protesting, but ultimately decided against it. According to Rose, my mom kept opening her door to check if she was sleeping on the couch, so she couldn't even try to sleep on the couch. At 5 a.m., Chris found Rose on the couch and let her sleep on his bed. He ended up telling me, but told me to not make a big fuss out of it. I did the exact opposite. I called my mom, very angry, and told her that she was disrespecting her so badly. She tried to defend herself by saying that she didn't harm the baby, and it's okay for pregnant women to sleep on the floor. But I refused to hear any of it. Chris agrees with me, but told me that I shouldn't make it a fight. I feel like I'm losing my mind.